Seth, Roman, and Dean. SmackDown Live. Shinsuke hits AJ in the beans, and Raw has started to blow. NXT usually steals the show, and SmackDown Live. AJ, Miz, and Bryan, all those guys, and Becky's still the man. The Posties, were you the superstar of the year? The Posties, did Randy Orton finger bang your ear? It's a land of adventure, great stories, and true romance. In a bad tag division, Drake Maverick might piss his pants. The Posties, Roman Reigns found himself in the news. The Posties, Brock even came to a show or two. The Posties.
Oh, Valeri, you outdid yourself.
I love the Posties.
6 stars in the Tokyo Dome, that intro.
Hell
6
yeah.
stars. Nice job. Welcome, everyone, to the 2018 Post to Post Postie Awards.
You're looking sharp today, Rob.
Hey, right back at you, pal. Thank you very much.
Let's do this. Let's go. Let's go.
Jared, that is a belt that you earned this year. You earned that belt. You deserved it. You deserved it.
I could cut a heel promo like The Miz and be like, that would mean something if you didn't chant it every 5 minutes.
Hey, listen, only in history, 4 men, well, I guess 5 if you include me, have won the Hirschfield Groomsman Championship Award.
Yes.
And you have one of them. You should be proud.
I'm telling you. I have one friend that's like, I'm ordering a Money in the Bank briefcase for Christmas, and they're going to bring it in and hit me with it. Try to take my belt.
How sad would it be if that we had some sort of audio hiccup or something during that intro?
Oh, I feel like I'd be pretty heartbroken.
I've got it recorded either way, but that was fantastic. That was just great.
For those of you that are a little too young, that's the theme to the Love Boat. Yeah.
I've never seen the Love Boat, but I know the theme.
Yeah. When I broke into the Posties, I knew you were going to love it.
Oh man, thank you so much. I apologize that we couldn't have had the instrumental music underneath you, but you did, Jerry. There was at no point anyone was wondering what that theme was.
No, thank you. I can usually be kind of on tune.
If anyone, I know we got some viewers. If anyone wants to just let us know that things are sounding good, this is our biggest episode of the year.
This is a big one. We're excited. Last year, it's funny. I went back and I watched some of last year's. We started with the biggest award of the night. Are we going to do that again today?
If you don't mind. I
never mind.
Okay, it's because I feel like the ones that we get to later, while less important, are more fun.
Because we tend to come up with different things.
Yeah, and it's like, Superstar of the Year, it's usually a bit more obvious, and it's kind of like it's easy to justify. And I don't know. Yeah. I've got them in an order.
Okay. Well, you lead the way, my dear friend, and I will follow. I'm excited.
So yes, we are reverse booking, much like a Saturday Night's Main Event from the 80s. We start with the main event and then we build towards, probably the more business, the stuff that the serious fans love.
It ends on a random tag match and you never even see the finish.
Yeah, but what was usually the match of the night? Was it the Hogan match that got things started or the tag match that ended the night?
Exactly. They knew what they were doing. When you start at 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday, you need to start with the blue cage, pal.
Match of the year is
match of the year.
I think this is the biggest honor that you can have of the year. I'd rather have no other award than match of the year.
It's a big one, and this is one. Based on a text conversation we had yesterday, I have 2, but I've had one of them for almost the whole year.
Here's the deal. We feel like we don't really know how to handle NXT because we usually try to focus on the main roster, but for some of these awards, NXT sincerely wins the year for me. And
it would be hard to give it to anyone else with a straight face.
So here's what we decided to do for any category that NXT wins, which I'm not saying this is for the answer for me, but I'm saying if NXT ever wins a category, we will also come up with a main roster choice.
Perfecto.
Sounds good?
Sounds great.
Well, in fact, for me, NXT won the year in this category. NXT.
Which match did you give it to?
That was the hard part. It wasn't even, was it NXT or main roster? Because to be honest with you, if we're picking the 5 best matches of the year, they're all from NXT takeovers.
Oh man, they really were. Their takeovers have just been knockouts, lights out.
I feel like there are some really good choices for me, but I did settle on one. My favorite match of 2018 was actually the ladder match for the North American Championship at NXT New Orleans. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's a wonderful match. It's a good match.
Just on that show alone, there's other matches of the year candidates, specifically Gargano and Ciampa, who had 3 matches that were fantastic on pay-per-view this year. I settled on the one that honestly I liked the best, and I loved that ladder match.
That ladder match was amazing. I cannot begrudge you, and I will not argue with you on that award. I think it's well-deserved for them. From you, my postie goes to a different match.
Is it NXT?
It is the next match on that card, I believe, if we're going in order. The difficult, for me, it was going to be Ciampa and Gargano, and the decision was Chicago or New Orleans, because they were both incredible matches, and I thought they were both match of the year candidates. And I went with Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, TakeOver New Orleans, the best match of the weekend, which was hard to say when it's a WrestleMania weekend, but it just was. It had drama, it had story, it had everything I need in a match, and it's one of the greatest feuds. So it had everything. I thought it was a great match.
There was definitely not, they weren't back to back. They bookended that show. The ladder match got the show started, and Ciampa and Gargano wrapped things up. Just like you, Jarrett, it was on the short list for me as far as matches of the year, and better than anything the main roster pumped out this year. So big year for NXT. Congratulations to all those guys putting on great shows. And I love that, we didn't even agree, but they came from the same show. That's saying something. Now we can move on to our main roster answers.
Okay. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
Go ahead.
This one, I'm curious of your reaction to this. I thought if I'm going to pick a
there
main
was
event,
not an easy answer.
If I was going to pick a match of the year from the main roster, and there were a few matches that really caught my eye, and Brock Daniel Bryan was like, oh, could this be? Could this be? I keep coming back to this one. It was a record-setting match. It was a match I think we'll talk about in 10 years when you're talking about things that happen this time period. And I say the main roster match of the year was the 2-hour gauntlet match on Raw, where you saw Seth Rollins break a record and go for 1 hour and 5 minutes. It was Rollins wrestled Roman for 20 minutes, and then Cena for 30, then Elias. Then Elias finally beats Rollins, and then Finn, and then Miz, and then Braun comes out. Great way to set up the Elimination Chamber. It was a little weird to force that match before an Elimination Chamber, but the match itself, it was incredible. I thought it was an incredible match.
Boy, you did a really good job describing it. It was historic and it was memorable. It was certainly one of those memorable matches that people will probably be talking about for a long time to come.
I think you can say, because if you say the gauntlet match from Raw, that's how people are going to refer to it,
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. My only criticism, I guess you could say, of that match is that I have no desire to rewatch that match. I wouldn't really be dying to see that again.
Okay.
Would be my biggest criticism. I'm curious, do you think you know what my match of the year was on the main roster?
I'm not 100% sure. I would say one more thing about mine. It's hard for me to pick a gauntlet match, and I'm glad that you're supportive of it, because we both hate gauntlet matches. Like, I typically hate the gauntlet match.
Correct.
Setup. It's terrible, but it still was for me. I thought I knew what your match of the year was going to be overall, and I thought it was going to be Gargano and Ciampa from Chicago. So I was wrong about that. I have no idea about your main roster pick. None.
For what it's worth, I thought that you picked Gargano Ciampa from New Orleans, and I think that's the right choice.
Thank you.
Chicago was 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a close second. And then I do think that, I guess it was Brooklyn, would be the distant third.
Yeah.
But again, probably all those matches better than anything on the main roster.
They're like my top 3, and then that ladder match you picked, pal.
Thank you. My match of the year, there were very few matches I gave that term to. I'm a bit more exclusive when I say match of the year contender during the year.
Sure.
And I did use that term to describe this match. Early on in January, I showered praise on a match that did not win. I thought that Seth Rollins and Miz did a great job at Raw 25.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other match that I wrote down besides this, the one that did win, was Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler from, I believe it was Backlash.
Yeah.
They did a really good job in an opening contest. Nothing else on the show was able to come close. And then one more match, I call it a match of the year candidate in 2018, came from the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. And I loved the unique brutality that Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton presented to us in that red cage.
I loved it. And I didn't dislike the red cage either.
No, the whole thing. I don't know.
So is that your match of the year, the Hell in the Cell?
The Hell in the Cell between Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton from October of this year. Thank you. I give them a round of applause too.
Yeah.
It had that really cool finish with that kind of the RKO from the top of the cage. The innovative offense, it had that screwdriver in the ear hole spot. That match, I spent so much time later that week just thinking about all the stuff I saw in that match. And if you go back and you watch our recap, I just showered that match with praise.
That was a great match. And you mentioned another one that I considered, Seth Rollins and Miz from Raw 25. That's the one with the turnbuckle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a brilliant match. That was wonderful.
Yeah, I really liked that match too. So those are honorable mentions along with the winner. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton are my main roster match of the year winners. So
congratulations, pals. Congratulations.
We named a bunch of great matches from the year 2018. So those are our matches of the year. And now we're going to move on to Superstar of the Year.
Oh boy.
I feel like it was a really neat year, and it was a little bit different. And I went back and forth between two names, but ultimately settled on one.
I did the same thing.
Boy, I want to know who yours is. Okay. Why don't I tell you who I chose?
Okay.
Oh man, now I'm really second guessing my choice.
Do you want me to tell you my choice? I don't think you're going to agree with my choice, to be quite honest.
I need to change my choice. My choice is wrong. My choice.
Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong?
Because I'm taking. I don't know what to do now. I've got a name on my paper, but I want to say the other name.
Say the other name.
Okay, I'm going to say the other name.
Say the other name.
The name on my paper.
Yes.
The name on my paper is AJ Styles.
Okay. That's not the name.
It's not. It's not your name, is it?
No, it's not the name.
Is the name Ronda Rousey?
It's Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it is.
Ronda Rousey's the superstar of the year. My other name was Seth Rollins, because I thought Seth Rollins had a really transcendent year. Of all the matches we talked about on the main roster, he was all but your match of the year. He just went out and did amazing work and finally got over as a babyface. The work he did with the Shield, the stuff he's doing now, Seth Rollins had a really good year, but from the end of the Royal Rumble till now, it's Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, and I'm glad I made that call before you said it, because it really was. It was Ronda's year. I think that AJ is probably a better number 2 than Rollins, but you make a very good point. AJ had the title from for 11 months of the year, was also having consistently good matches, match after match, was also in really good programs all year too, with people like Nakamura to get things started, then moving on to Joe and then Daniel Bryan. Like, those are some really solid feuds for a guy to have.
Yeah, AJ Styles and we gave it to him one other year, his first year in. AJ's just been awesome in the WWE, but this is Ronda Rousey's year, pal.
Yeah, no, and that is, we agree on that one. And
congratulations, Ronda.
Ronda Rousey.
Rowdy one.
Not only that, it's worth mentioning, she had a lot of obstacles to overcome as far as expectations, as far as, fan approval. And while she's not the greatest wrestler of all time, she is doing very good work. It's worth mentioning.
Well, I was afraid that the learning curve was going to kill her, that expectations was going to be brutal, because what people forget is, while she's incredibly popular and super well known and was on top of the world in MMA, she's as green as grass in pro wrestling.
Yeah. And
so we needed to give her a little bit of understanding, and I think people have, and she's coming along.
Yeah, I agree. It is everything is going well with her. And I expect things to get even better as time passes on. So congratulations to Ronda Rousey, the unanimous superstar of the year. Curious as to if the Post to Post universe agrees with any of these, but that one specifically. It's been, in no time in history would a woman have ever won Superstar of the Year, but 2018, it became the year.
Yeah, I was thinking about making her Superstar of the Year, but we have a category for Woman of the Year, so.
Boy, I guess we should have made it. I guess we also need Male Wrestler of the Year starting next year.
Next year, because she just took it. She took Superstar of the Year. That's her.
Well, then why don't we say your Male Superstar of the Year is Seth Rollins?
But by the way, I have a different Woman of the Year.
Yeah, it's funny. I do too. That's so neat.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Let's just keep rolling down, and we'll see where we are.
Number 3, well, maybe number 4 if we count Male Superstar of the Year. Feud of the Year. The only hard one for me. Oh, you want to get things started, Jer?
I'll get things started. This is another one of the NXT answers, and then I'll give you a main roster. But to be fair, they're both A number 1s. There's not like, oh, I guess I have to pick a main roster feud. I think that the best feud in professional wrestling right now was Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. That's how I want a feud to run. That's how I want a feud to look. That's how I want a feud to be executed. It's freaking perfect. And I loved everything about it. And that was my feud of the year. For the main roster, it's a no-brainer for me, Daniel Bryan and The Miz.
Interesting. That was a no-brainer for you. Why is that?
Well, for me personally, because Daniel Bryan and The Miz is the feud that I'm most looking forward to down the road. I've enjoyed the little turns and delays getting us to WrestleMania. Those two, first of all, we went into this year not even knowing that they were ever going to be able to have a proper feud. And then Daniel Bryan shows up, and now we can have it. And The Miz and Daniel Bryan, they work so well together, and I think that they are the feud of the year, and it's going to continue through WrestleMania, and I'm excited about that.
It's funny because most of the time I prefer us to disagree, whether we're making predictions, whether we're recapping a pay-per-view. God, the most fun we had on the air this year was disagreements, whether it was
Greatest Royal Rumble. That was fun.
Yeah, that was the best. I love when we disagree about, did Roman blade or did he get busted the hard way at WrestleMania? Right. I love he bladed. I love just when we disagree passionately. During the posties, I prefer us to agree. Mm-hmm. And this time in this category, again, we do agree. The feud of the year was Gargano and Ciampa in NXT for the reasons you said. But the thing, here's what makes a good feud to me in wrestling is storyline and match quality are the two things that are important. And that's why Gargano and Ciampa was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But that's also what made giving it to Daniel Bryan versus The Miz difficult for me. Because to be honest, storyline was tops. Wrestling was, unfortunately, they haven't given us anything to even talk about match-wise.
No, as far as a match goes, they've just been building anticipation, if anything.
Correct.
Because, like, what's one of the matches that they had? Their girlfriends and wives were involved.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh God, we've got Brie Bella in the ring. This is the worst.
So on the same token, while Daniel Bryan, I think, and Miz brought the story as opposed to the matches, I thought that Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins brought the matches as opposed to a story. And to be honest with you, if that feud would have just been a little shorter and less repetitive and a bit more story driven as opposed to they're just on opposite sides of a war, I would have given that feud of the year because the match quality was very high.
Top notch.
So my main roster feud of the year, I would just say it narrowly beat out Ziggler and Rollins for me. But I do agree, Bryan versus Miz is what I get the most excited for on the main roster. But no one can argue Gargano and Ciampa this year.
I can't imagine that they could.
It's just the right answer. Next up, maybe the most difficult category of the year for me, tag team of the year.
Nope, I got it. Nailed it.
Who is it?
Braun Strowman and Nicholas.
Hey, you know what, Jer? I thought about a lot of names. Like,
that's not my real answer, by the way. You go first.
I thought about a lot of names. Like, I didn't even consider Braun and Nicholas. I thought about like the Deleter of Worlds, who maybe could have won, but didn't for me just because it didn't last long enough to really make as big an impact.
Sure.
And then I almost even considered the Bludgeon Brothers, but the same thing. Like, this was supposed to be the Bludgeon Brothers year, but I do think that an injury sidelining them makes it impossible to give it to them.
It was theirs till SummerSlam. It really was.
Yeah, it should have. Had there been no injury, this would have been their year to receive the illustrious Post-to-Post Postie Award for Tag Team of the Year. So I even thought about the B Team, but that was goofy and short-lived and eventually became very irrelevant. So it kind of came down to the standbys, the teams that have been around for a little while now, teams like The Bar, teams like the Usos, and teams like New Day. And I really thought that when you combine how much they improved this year and really how dominant they have been this year, I guess the Usos are the #1 tag team in my book, like it or not. I gave them the nod for Tag Team of the Year. Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, you've received my nomination for Tag Team of the Year. Curious if Jerry agrees or disagrees when it comes to this. It's really hard to pick one.
Last year, I watched last year's Posties, and you and I both said next year, when we gave it to the New Day, we said next year will be the Usos' year, next year. And I was with you the absolute whole way. Like, your logic with the Deleter of Worlds and the B Team and going to the standbys, I could easily say the Usos and make it unanimous because it's hard to disagree with that. But for the same reasons you went with the Usos, I went with The Bar because I thought The Bar, for a team that Mick Foley created 2 years ago on Raw as like part of a storyline, those guys are a real tag team now. They get real heat at shows. They've got a cool entrance. They've got a name. They've got a tagline. They've got a good look. They work well together. They're a fun team, albeit not a spectacular team. And they were pretty dominant this year too, and they held the championships for quite some time. So I'm gonna go with Sheamus and Cesaro the Bar.
I named 3 choices that I thought made sense, and that was one of those 3. They did have my line of the year, my favorite line all year, because I felt I was the only one who got it. was when they said, even Ed Sheeran doesn't like the club. He prefers the bar. I loved that line.
I didn't get it at first, but when you pointed it out, it dawned on me.
I thought that was so under the radar funny. I'm glad that those two have been together because when they're both alone, Sheamus doesn't connect with me, and Cesaro just seems to flounder for whatever reason. I think we're all big fans of Cesaro's single work, but it just never connects with the back. Maybe it is. I don't know what it is. But you know, they've been keeping each other alive.
Cesaro's the 5-star match in that team, and Sheamus is the storyteller, because Sheamus isn't a storyteller, and his character never really resonated or transcended into the crowd. Like, remember the year of the U.S. Open Challenge with John Cena? I thought one of the best matches of the year was Cesaro and Cena. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that was great.
But after that, like, it was still hard to care about Cesaro.
All right, so I say Usos. Jerry says the bar, and that's who we've got there.
All right, moving on in the Posties. So far, great show.
Yeah, I think that's been a very good Postie Award so far. We do have, I believe, 14 categories to get to, and this is number 5.
Oh, baby, we're slow.
You know, I realized I put together what the difference is between Superstar of the Year being Ronda Rousey and the fact that we both chose someone different for Women's Wrestler of the Year. Because,
I did too. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Because, like, 1989 was Hulk Hogan's year, but he wouldn't have been either one of our favorites.
Right.
So that's the difference. Superstar of the Year is whose year was it? And then Wrestler of the Year would be who our favorite is, I feel like.
Absolutely. So do you just want to do Women's Wrestler of the Year right now?
Yeah. And then in the future, we need to have Superstar of the Year, Women's Wrestler of the Year, and Men's Wrestler of the Year.
I agree.
So next year, we're going to need to make sure we add that. Women's Wrestler of the Year. Who do you want to start, Jer?
Why don't you just go ahead and give everybody our answer?
Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Becky
Lynch, the man.
There's no way. I mean, the only thing that you could argue somebody else like Ronda Rousey would be that Becky's time delivering these amazing performances has been a bit limited, but holy cow, the quality of her work rate over the past 2 or 3 months has been among the best of any wrestler of any gender in history.
Absolutely. This is the spark they were really hoping that all of the force feeding of the women's revolution was going to create, because she had everybody caring about her Survivor Series match more than anything else. Like, if for the first time ever, people really wanted to see the women's match, like, more than anything else.
Correct. There's no wrestler I'm into more, including AJ Styles, including Daniel Bryan, including Seth Rollins, including Miz, that I want to see on my TV anymore right now than a woman named Becky Lynch.
And it all started right before SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it took me longer to get on board. I remember you guys were much more into this early on than I was. I was
just kind of like, I just thought they were giving a breeze. Like, I just thought, oh, they're using her as a match in SummerSlam, and I didn't care at first either.
Yeah. And it was kind of getting started around that SmackDown in Evansville too. I remember she was starting to really, put the pedal to the metal with her character, and boy, the transformation she's made this year has put her into a league I did not see her going in. She was the distant third for me when it came to the Charlottes, the Sashas, and the Becky Lynches. And now it's like she's now neck and neck with Charlotte for best wrestler of all time from the women's division for me.
Yeah, and she's going to be the reason why they're going to be able to make a women's match the main event at WrestleMania, and I'm not going to scoff.
Hey, if the way things are going, like I mentioned before, I agree with you. I agree with you. And if that's the way to do it organically, just by talent and ability. So Becky Lynch, congratulations. You definitely deserve being the Women's Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, Listen, again, Ronda Rousey, it's her year, but Becky Lynch is outperforming everybody. She's the women's wrestler of the year. Yes, absolutely.
Number 6, very difficult category for me. I think we're going to have you get started.
Okay.
Promo of the year.
This was a tough one.
Yeah, this one was really tough, and I'm glad that I kept a note on my phone when good promos happen. But let me give you the floor.
Thank you. This was a tough one, and I had some notes, and I had some ones that really made me laugh a lot, but wouldn't be promo of the year. You know, like Elias and looking for Leo Rush's parents, I thought was really great, but that's not a promo of the year. That's a really funny line that made me laugh out loud. Promo of the year is for me, it's got to be from the minute they start to the minute they finish. I'm compelled. The crowd's into it, not bored, and it tells a story. And it's just, you know when you see it. You just know when you see a good promo. And ironically, the best promo of the year came from someone I consider to be the worst on the mic. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar pipe bomb was my promo of the year. Now, it dragged on as the weeks progressed, and he became very repetitive with it. But the first time he came out was like, Brock's not here, Brock's not showing up, Brock doesn't care. And he started dropping real pipe bomb type stuff on Brock Lesnar to start that feud up. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great promo, and that's what I went with.
Interesting. If we're going to go with an Elias promo, my favorite one from his was actually his with Trish Stratus.
Oh, that was great.
But I didn't pick an Elias promo.
My favorite Elias promo is the one where Braun Strowman's got the cello. Get these hands. He's singing the song.
That was a stand-up bass.
It's stand-up bass, man. Sorry.
Cello.
Cello.
I am so surprised to hear you say that Roman Reigns won your promo of the year.
Yeah.
Because he also won mine.
Oh, same promo?
Same exact promo.
Oh, pow!
Here's the thing. I think that everything you said was true, but you left out the big thing that made this win promo of the year for me. Now, I'll be honest. Compared to other years, I think it was a weak year on the mic. But here was the thing. Now, you called it Roman Reigns pipe bomb. I actually had it in my phone. Roman Reigns, Brock is a bitch. And the reason this was the best promo of the year is that when the promo started, the crowd was doing their typical Roman Reigns eating him alive. And by the time the promo ended, the place was chanting his name. And that was what they've been trying for 3 years to do. And that promo was what finally got some people to say, yes, we want you to win. We finally want you to win.
And it got the boos for Brock that they'd wanted too.
Exactly. And that promo was so efficient and successful. And while not specifically memorable, I just remember it as that was the moment. And you can, if you go back and watch our recap of it, I made the same point then as I do now. That was the moment he got to the point he needed to be at. Was that promo on a Monday Night Raw heading into SummerSlam against Brock Lesnar. Brock is a bitch, pipe bomb, whatever you want to call it. I cannot believe we wound up on the same promo for promo of the year.
Congratulations, bitch.
Up next is actually a new award that we felt like we should include because we have been talking a lot about this lately. Jared had been mentioning the post to post Postie for newcomer. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I went out of order. Up next is newcomer of the year. Let me.
You really Steve Harvey that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I apologize. Excuse me.
It's a live show, pal. It's a live show.
Hey, F it. We'll do it live.
We're doing it live.
Newcomer of the year. I assume, again, it's just we could 1, 2, 3 it if you want to, right?
Let's 1, 2, 3 it. Yeah, I'm confident.
1, 1, 2, 3. Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey.
And you know what? At least she deserves it. As far as new faces on the scene, she is doing a great job. Is she the best between the ropes? No. Is she the best on the mic? No. Did she make the biggest impact out of everyone we haven't seen on WWE before? Yes. And is she coming along nicely for someone who's been doing it as long as she is? Yes. So
that's why she's Superstar of the Year. That's why she's Newcomer of the Year. And that's why she's not Women's Wrestler of the Year.
There's nobody in WWE, I mean, with the maybe exception of John Cena, who had, what, 1 or 2 matches all year, that gets any more mainstream publicity than Ronda Rousey.
It's true. I mean, she does something, and she's all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, when she debuted at the Royal Rumble, the internet went crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you see it on CNN.
So remember everything I said about the new category and all that good stuff?
Absolutely.
We needed to make this a category because of how much focus we've been talking about the most improved wrestler of 2018.
Right.
Jerry?
This one.
Go ahead.
This one could go one of two ways. I'm excited.
See, I thought you said it was easy earlier.
It's easy for me, but then you said that it was a tough one. So I thought about it and I was like, I could see it going one of two ways. For me, it's going one way.
Yeah, I settled on an answer. See, here's the thing that makes a wrestler improved is how much better are you this year than you were last year? If you remember, and this isn't the name I went with, but I think you can make a good argument for this person. We all hated Randy Orton's 2017. It was just abysmal. You had the House of Horrors. You had the disappointment match at WrestleMania. You had the really terrible feud with Jinder Mahal. We hated Randy Orton last year with good reason. And then this year, he's been a little less in our face, putting on consistently good matches, has a very solid feud with Jeff Hardy.
He's your match of the year, pal.
It's my match of the year, absolutely.
For main roster.
And but I didn't settle on him because I know how his years have been in the past. You could argue Miz year over year is still stepping his game up, but I didn't give it to him. And then the hardest name for me to disqualify was Drew McIntyre. Because since the last time we had seen him on the main roster, he was just a dud. And he's just come back kicking the door in, forcing people to take notice of him. But I really have to say, 2017 she was a blip on the radar, Becky Lynch. And now at the end of 2018, she's becoming the most talked about wrestler of any kind. That I'm saying, I know she's been capable of greatness. It was 2018 where we finally began to see it. So I gave mine to Becky Lynch, most improved wrestler of 2018. Do you agree?
I absolutely do. I do agree. Drew McIntyre was a hard one to disqualify for me as well. He was the other one. I mean, Drew McIntyre he's a main eventer now, and we care about him now, and we never did before. And I didn't even care about him on NXT, and everybody cares about everybody on NXT. But he came in, like you said it best, he kicked the door in. But as for Becky Lynch, she wasn't just like a blip on the radar. She was a blip on the radar behind other blips. Like, I thought if we were going to see something like this, we were going to see an emergence from like Sasha Banks before Becky, or even Bayley before Becky. And then the next thing you know, it's Becky and everybody else. And just, and then you look at last year's Newcomer of the Year and Woman of the Year. We picked Asuka. She's down here. Becky's just stomping everybody, and she's higher than the guys.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way around it. We agree there. And now we're getting into some of this. By the way,
if we were the WWE, we would be patting ourselves on the back for, historically choosing women for the first time ever here.
Yeah. We're going to give them credit where it's due, and we're going to give them criticism where it's due.
Yep.
This is where things start to get fun. Now we go into some of the worst performances of the year.
Also, most improved look-wise, at least for you and me, Carmella. she was ugly to us until we met her, and now we think she's beautiful.
Yeah, most improved looks wise, exactly.
Yep.
Jerry took some great pictures with her.
Yeah, she's good looking. This
is a Jerry Valeri original. Better luck NXT time. I feel like we've got to pull the same name out of this one too.
I don't think we're going to, and I have a justification for it.
All right. You want me to start? Because my answer, I think, is the obvious one.
Go ahead with the obvious one, because you're not wrong. You're really not wrong.
Who in the world that got called up in 2018 made less of an impact and floundered more and just could not get things going than No Way Jose?
I mean, No Way Jose is the answer. I get it.
Jerry seems to have one name, but I mean, even had the fun stuff with the Congo line, and he is kind of cartoony in a way that a lot of people would think that he could go the way of the Godfather as opposed to Adam Rose, but he went the way of Adam Rose and just did not connect at all on the main roster. But Jerry, I think, has a different name. I don't know who it is, but if you can justify it, I'm all ears.
The reason I went with the name that I did and not No Way Jose, because No Way Jose is, it really is, if you think about it, the answer. However, No Way Jose came in with a different, at least for me, and it seems like a lot of people, he was one of those guys you expected to be like a comedy guy, 3 minutes on the mid-card kind of guy, get the kids hyped up at a house show and maybe sell a little bit of merchandise kind of guy. No real expectations for him to do anything spectacular. So from where I expected him to be to where he was is very, very, very small difference.
I
think
I see where you're going.
When you talk about sanity and where I thought sanity was coming in and where sanity was going to be to where sanity is now, I think it's an abyss. It's a chasm. It's a gap. And so I went with sanity as a Better Luck NXT time, because they really screwed the pooch on 3, 4, if you count Nikki, incredible performers, and they're just doing nothing with them.
Boy, okay, so you did a great job justifying that. The only reason I would say No Way Jose is a bit more deserving is, rightly or wrongly, I haven't counted sanity out yet. I've counted No Way Jose out.
He's for sure done. I think it would take a miracle for sanity at this point, don't you?
It would, but it's still possible. I just feel like it's a bit more possible to save them than No Way Jose. But everything you said was right. Everything you said was right.
The only way they're going to save sanity, and I don't like it. I like Eric a lot, and I think he's the leader of sanity and should be. But I think WWE's way of fixing sanity is putting Bray Wyatt with them.
That is not where I thought you were going to go when you were building up when you were making your justifications. When you were talking about expectations versus reality, I thought you were going to say Bobby Roode.
Oh yeah, I mean, for real. He's a Better Luck NXT candidate for sure, but he's at least in a program and has been in programs.
Yeah, he's got some traction.
Sanity hasn't gotten a program. They've barely gotten a match.
Yeah. Great choices.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Up next is our second new category, our second of 2 new categories this year. Jerry and I said, I asked him, hey, is there anything you think we need to add? And I suggested this one. And that would be for worst angle of 2018.
Okay.
Because one jumped out at me that I felt like we should bring it up as just noteworthy of being a bad decision, a bad angle, a bad execution. So I've got an answer. And you came up with one?
I have, but I'm not in love with it. Mine's kind of like a good angle that they just did poorly.
All right. I thought the worst angle of 2018, I wanted to love it, guys. I really wanted to love it. That garbage that was the Ultimate Deletion. I hated that. I don't like the Lake of Reincarnation. I don't like the Mower of Lawns. I don't like the production of it. Didn't like the execution of it. I didn't like
the chair of wheels? What about the chair of wheels?
Sorry, pal. It's a wheelchair. I'm just being honest with you. I went into it with the best of intentions. I was hyped about it, but when it came off, oh my God, did I hate that ultimate deletion.
Oh, I can see that. I can't. I'm not even going to waste my time trying to argue you with that because it wasn't great. I don't think it was the worst, but it wasn't.
Change my mind.
I can't, and I won't. They tried to recapture lightning in a bottle, and they couldn't, and they didn't, and that was that. For me,
I'll be honest. That first lightning, I wouldn't even call lightning.
It was kind of lightning. It got Matt Hardy.
It was piss in a bottle. It was piss in a bottle, and they tried to re-piss. It was piss in a Gatorade bottle, and they tried to re-piss in a Gatorade bottle, and that was the ultimate deletion. It was the ultimate Gatorade bottle filled with piss.
Trucker piss. It was a trucker bomb. Stupid things. Hey, I put the way they handled the Money in the Bank stuff at the end because I was so excited when they reunite the Shield against Braun Strowman, and then you think you see a heel turn, but instead it's the Braun Strowman heel turn, and they combine Braun Strowman with Dolph and Drew, and it made no sense, and it just seemed so backwards to me the way they did it. I didn't like it at all.
Would you say a better way to sum that up would be the Braun Strowman heel turn? Yeah,
the Braun Strowman heel turn. Yeah, it culminated with him not cashing in the Money in the Bank correctly. But yeah, you're right. The Braun Strowman heel turn, I thought, was a terrible angle that could have been amazing. It could have been amazing. And then they went and undid everything anyways because
that I think they did a lot of damage with doing that. Personally, I agree with you.
They've made two huge mistakes with Braun Strowman so far since having him, and he's found a way to overcome them both. That heel turn was a mistake, and making him cower a couple years ago to The Undertaker and just walk away was a mistake.
I mean, I don't think people really, that didn't do him any long-term damage, the Undertaker one. It just really pissed me off.
Stupid. It was just stupid.
It was really, a really bad decision.
Your answer is better than mine. I'll have a better one next year when I have a little more time to think about that category.
Okay, sure thing. Number 11. This one, there's a right answer to. Number 11 I have is the most prominent death of 2018 from the world of wrestling.
Oh, this is pressure because you say there's a right answer. What if I don't have the right answer?
There's a right answer. Who's your answer?
I feel like the right answer for you is not the right answer for me.
All right, who's the right answer?
Bruno Sammartino.
That's the right answer.
Oh, that's the right answer.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna. I thought your heart was gonna go with Neidhart, but congratulations, Bruno.
Oh no, dude! When Bruno died, there were specials about him on, the network. There were people covering it in national news. People talking about. Yeah, my goodness. I mean, I love Neidhart. Don't get me wrong, but Bruno's death was much more prominent this year than Jimmy's.
Bruno Sammartino, rest in peace, pal.
Rest R.I.P. Rip, pal.
Rip, pal. Also, if we're gonna do most, one of the saddest deaths was Brian Christopher, right? That was a really sad one because him and Neidhart were not old.
No. Well, Brian was young.
Yeah, Brian was super young. Bruno Sammartino, he lived a pretty good life.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt. But I mean, before any of us watching were alive, Bruno Sammartino was the face of wrestling.
Absolutely.
And from all accounts, just seemed to be a really humane, decent role model, individual type of guy. So the most prominent death of 2018 was Bruno Sammartino.
That guy was Mr. Madison Square Garden. I mean, for real.
Dying to get to this one.
Let's do it.
Best pay-per-view of the year.
Oh my.
Some really bad ones to choose from.
Some real stinkeroos. Real suckos. It would have been easier to pick the worst than the best.
Well, do you want me to go?
Well, you can go or I can go. I don't believe we're going to have the same one, but I'm not. So far, you haven't given me an answer that's made me disagree with you. But I can lead the way. I can go. I'm okay with that.
All right, go ahead.
One of the matches I thought could be match of the year, and then I went away from it, from the main roster, was on this card. Also, one of the most impactful moments of the year happened on this card. When you look at some of the matches as a whole, when you look at the card, it's not the most impressive thing ever. Like when you have a main event like Brock Lesnar and Kane and Braun Strowman, you've triple threat for WWE Universal Championship. That let us down a little bit because Kane was like not even around for half of it. But I went with the Royal Rumble. I thought the Royal Rumble was the most entertaining pay-per-view of the year. The Royal Rumble match itself was one of my favorites in a long, long time. The women's Royal Rumble match was way better than I ever expected it to be. It had the biggest of water cooler moments with Ronda Rousey showing up at the very end of it. And I liked some of the other matches on the card, like AJ Styles against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and even Shinsuke Nakamura when he won the Royal Rumble and Roman Reigns. You get to the end there, and you got the new guys and the old guys. It's just good storytelling. I liked it. Royal Rumble 2018. Pay-per-view of the year for me.
I am shocked. I am shocked.
Shocked.
I'm shocked that you said Royal Rumble 2018, and I'm not shocked that it's your main roster choice, but I'm shocked that you didn't say NXT New Orleans.
Yeah. You're probably right. I put it on the main. I gave it to the main roster this time. I really did.
I am beyond shocked because that's as close to an A+ pay-per-view as you're going to get in 2018 to me.
You know, I'm not going to argue with you. Maybe that was an oversight on my behalf because NXT New Orleans has my match of the year. It has your match of the year, and your match of the year could easily be my match of the year. So.
NXT New Orleans was just a thing of beauty.
It was incredible. It really was. From
start to finish. That was so much fun to sit down and watch WrestleMania weekend, and then just everybody on that show steals the show. I mean, among my favorite nights of wrestling ever was NXT New Orleans, but that's my choice for pay-per-view of the year. But I also did, of course, come up with a main roster answer.
Sure. And your main roster answer is?
For those of us who don't watch NXT. My favorite pay-per-view on the main roster, strangely enough, one I usually dislike year after year, was Hell in a Cell.
Makes sense. Makes total sense based on your main roster match of the year.
But I'll also remind you, and I'll admit I did need to refresh myself here, just as I'm sure you did with the Royal Rumble. Some other really big moments and matches happened on Hell in a Cell. New Day and Rusev Day went at it on the pregame show. There was a backstage feud that was going on with Baron Corbin and Mick Foley all night. My match of the year happened, Hell in a Cell, Randy Orton over Jeff Hardy. There was a SmackDown Championship match. Who was it? Oh, just Becky Lynch defending her title against Charlotte Flair. No big deal there. Let's see. You had Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Rollins and Ambrose.
That was a great match.
An excellent match. You had AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, a highlight from a very intense feud. And you also had, let's see, that was the Miz and Maurice with Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, which are feud of the year, if nothing else. And then you had Ronda Rousey defeating Alexa Bliss. And the main event was Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman, which went on to be a bit more significant because it had a return from Brock Lesnar, who we did not expect to see in WWE anymore.
Wait, that was a great pay-per-view. Did we didn't poop on that, did we? I feel like
I didn't.
We might have. I don't think I did.
We have to go back and watch, but
you make it sound much better than I remember it being.
Yeah, so that was what I thought was the best pay-per-view from 2018. I would probably say the second would be the Rumble. I don't think you're crazy picking that. And I also think I liked Hell in a Cell more than the average fan did. So that maybe explains it, but I'm confident. If I go back and watch every pay-per-view from this year, well, it'd be the takeovers probably all first. And then the main all the main roster ones, I would like Hell in a Cell best.
Well, then I'd like to just unanimously give it to TakeOver because that was I don't know why I forgot to say that. I don't know why I forgot to put that on my paper and do that because it really was pay-per-view of the year. You're absolutely right. We haven't really disagreed much on this show, and that's okay for me.
Man, we're racking the time up here. We're almost at an hour.
Killing it, man. We're like Seth Rollins in that gauntlet match.
We only have a few more, guys. Don't worry. What's next? We have two more, but two of my favorites. Most shocking moment. And this is to separate it from the final award. So everyone knows most shocking moment is for on-screen developments. And I don't mind getting started if you want.
Go ahead.
So these can be written or not. These can be really just, it had to play out on screen to qualify to be the most shocking moment. If it's like a news story that you read that WWE didn't talk about on the air, that would be the next one for news story of the year. That's for off screen.
Yes.
The most shocking moment this year, I had two, and I'll tell you that my runner up later, I guess, after you give yours. There's a chance it could be yours. I think that the most shocking moment that took place on screen, and it was doubly impactful because, man, I even overlooked one, but I'm still confident in my answer.
Okay, give it.
Heard this on mainstream news, heard Howard Stern talking about this. It took place when I was on my honeymoon, and it was all I was seeing on Facebook. Everyone talking about it. Roman Reigns relinquishes the WWE title because his leukemia returns. I want to clap for that, but that's my choice for most shocking moment on screen.
I mean, it shocked people in the back. It shocked Corey Graves. He was crying on live TV.
Yeah, it was the most shocking moment. I have two that you could argue.
Okay, so I have Roman Reigns leukemia as well, and the only reason, and that's him getting or having leukemia and telling us on television that he's relinquishing the championship and walking out of Raw. If that doesn't happen, it has to be Daniel Bryan coming back, right?
That's the other one on my paper, but I think there might even be a better answer than that. It just dawned on me.
Well, those are my two.
Those are my two as well.
With Roman getting it, what's the third one?
I guess probably because we were just talking about it with your pay-per-view induction, but Ronda Rousey appearing at the Royal Rumble was everywhere. I mean, if you looked at CNN, if you looked at ESPN, people in my office that don't watch wrestling were reporting on it. I was shocked at how much attention that got. But
it was big. But I think the reason that I didn't pick that and you didn't pick that is because we all knew she was coming. Yeah. So her showing up was Roman having leukemia and not being champion anymore. I woke up that day never thinking that was a possibility. Daniel Bryan coming back and wrestling in the WWE, I never thought that was a possibility again.
Yeah. So I guess we agree on that one. This is great. And then finally, I'm going to ask you to go first here because I feel strongly about my answer here too, and I don't know if we'll have the same answer or not.
I think the biggest news story for the WWE was one of the biggest black eyes possible for the WWE. I think they mishandled it from the very beginning and never recovered.
Oh, maybe I wonder. Oh, I know where you're going. Awesome choice.
I think that the WWE biggest news story. I mean, this was covered on John Oliver. This was covered on the news. Fox News handled it. It was all over the place.
Awesome choice.
Saudi Arabia kills a journalist at in the consulate in Turkey, and they think that it was an assassination with a bone saw, and that the government, the kingdom, commissioned it to happen. And 3 weeks later, we get Crown Jewel with the WWE playing buddy buddy, all progressive with Saudi Arabia. And all the WWE does to fix this is they just never say the word Saudi Arabia again. And I mean, it kind of played out on screen, but the real stories
no.
behind the camera.
This is the right category for that story.
Yeah, this is that was a mess. That was a mess for them. So Saudi Arabia is the story for me for the WWE. Do you like that answer?
Okay, I do. And that was my second favorite. Here might be the difference in the way we did this. Is you said this was the biggest news story of the year, and I went with favorite. If you're going for biggest, you're right. But okay. I went with favorite.
In the future, which should we do?
Whatever you want.
Cool.
Whatever you want. But
cool.
You know, it's like Guns N' Roses is my favorite band, but no one's going to argue them for great. Like the Beatles are the greatest band ever. That's the right answer.
Right.
You know what I mean? In that kind of way, your answer was right. My answer is my favorite.
Let's hear it.
There's nothing I loved reading about more this year than Enzo Amore allegedly raping a girl.
I mean, and Enzo kept becoming the gift that kept on giving. I mean, remember?
He did.
I mean, he tried to sabotage Survivor Series.
He tried to sabotage Survivor Series to great failure, including injuring a woman inadvertently. He made a rap video explaining what happened in Phoenix. God, there's no one I want to see when I'm scrolling through my news sites appear than Enzo Amore. The fall from grace, Raw 25, the allegations, the way WWE handled it, maybe a bit over the top, maybe not. The eventual clearing of his name and charges being dropped, and then his behavior since then. It might not be the biggest and the most talked about on a worldwide level, but holy cow, saying any other news story was my favorite this year would be a lie.
Okay. Yeah.
Man,
I love this. I love this category.
I agree. I love the category too. And your answer was great too in different ways. So that's what we got for you for our 2018 Postie Awards.
Ironically, this Postie is shaped like a bone saw. Sorry.
Let's remind people what the rest of our schedule is looking like this year. Like I said, up until Jerry's return in a little over a month, it's going to be a bit spotty, but I don't think I have any reason why next week will be spotty.
Next week should be normal, and it will have a prediction episode. Am I correct?
Yeah. So I think we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. And I'm here later than usual this year. I'm going to be here through like the 18th, I think, here at work.
So we'll get to, because pay-per-view is the 16th. So we'll get to do the 17th, which is the pay-per-view recap. And then if we want to, on your last day, we can do a Raw recap, or we can skip it. It's completely up to you.
We'll definitely be normal through, at least that recap of TLC. So yeah. And then the end of the year in early January, when we've got vacation time, it's going to be a little spotty. Maybe I'll be able to find someone to fill in, maybe not, but it will get back to full strength when Jerry returns. Do you know what that return date is, Jer?
Yeah, I'll be back. I'm leaving the 19th, like the 20th, like the week after the 20th, I'll be back.
Hopefully, I'm assuming the Rumble will be after your return, so that will be great.
Yeah, that's the end of the month, and I'm just in the middle. But I'll be like gone out of touch. I'll be in paradise.
Where are you going?
Mexico, where I'm going to try to join the cartel.
Which city?
Whichever one the Lucha Libre New Day's from.
I mean, which city are you going to?
No, I know. We're
Are you trying to? You're not saying?
No, the Maya Riviera. We're going to be in a resort.
Nice. That's going to be a great time. Well, listen, thank you guys for tuning in. We really want to see, we know it's a long episode, but leave us your choices, or if there's anyone you agreed with or disagreed with or didn't think of, let's get a conversation going on the comments today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on Tuesday.
The